our colleagues, Apollo Kashanku, one of our OBs, he lost his dad, Reverend Kashanku. I think burial is on Monday, and there's a basket which is moving around as usual. Kashanku has been one of our permanent members of Kiganiro, and of course he's an OB, 92 to 97. If I remember well, Kashanku tried to, he actually stood with the Honorable Zidasman Vasariwa at campus for guild president, and he was cheated by Honorable Donga Oto. Oto was the electoral commissioner. Kashanku is from Crichton and currently is vice chairman NSOBA. So members, we request you to attend to our small basket which is moving around. Now today, there have been issues around the youth, youth opportunities, youth challenges, youth employment, education. And one of us contacted us, Apollo Mianja, is an OB of those years from, I think, Pioneer. He contacted us and said that he would give a presentation on issues of youth. So I'm not going to waste more of your time. I will ask one of our members to open the session with a prayer as usual. And Bruce, you can give us a prayer and we begin.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Dixon. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this wonderful time you have brought us together as old boys of Ontario School. We thank you because of this opportunity to meet again as friends, as colleagues, as brothers, and even well-wishers. We pray that you continue to build this Kiganiro, that everything we will discuss will be productive in our lives, in our children's lives, and in all those that we are associated with. We thank you even today that we are seeing the fruitfulness of this discussion, and you are growing us bigger and better every day. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Can I request Rotarian Arake to give us some opening remarks for up to a minute, and then Apollo will take over from there. Thank you, Arake.
Thanks a lot, but that was a bit of an ambush. But thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the team that has been organizing this weekly Kiganiro, which is taking a very good position in terms of our weekly calendar. The few that I've had a chance to attend have been very, very informative. And I want to believe that ongoing, we shall have more informative sessions. I also want to thank the people who commit the time to do the research and make the presentations, but also the members who are on the organizing committee. I think we need to put in a bit more effort and make it a lot more popular, especially in areas of how we package the messages. Because you see, the current crop of NSOBA 80s are people who are probably getting into their evenings, and they need to start planning on things to do with retirement. If I cannot get my midterm access in NSSF, where else can I get money to plan for my retirement? So in my opinion, I think those are areas that we need to seriously look into in terms of topics that are going to encourage more members to attend. But short of that, I want to thank the team that is organizing this weekly meeting. Specifically today, I also want to thank PSFU, and in particular Apple, who has put in some time to do research in what is going to share. And I believe it will be profitable and sensible for all of us. I thank you very much, and I wish you a lovely session today. Thanks.
Thank you, Arake. Apollo.
Thank you, Bwana Dixon. I hope you can hear me. And good evening to you all members. Grateful for this opportunity to share with the NSOBA fraternity. Let me start by also commiserating with our brother Apollo, my namesake, Apollo Kashanku, for his loss, and also to encourage the members to participate with the basket that is moving around. But I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm glad to see that we are making use of this fraternity that we have. We have a lot of smart people within our group. And I think also, as Rotarian RK has said, we have a number of hobbies that are going into the evening of their lives. And I think this is the time that we should be investing in networking more than ever. And so for me, this means a lot. And yeah, I just thought I would spend some time.
And the rest. Then once you finish, submit. Even if you decide to record.
Okay, thank you. Just spend some time with you, share with you my perspective of where we are as a country, especially on the subject of youth. I have had the opportunity to study this topic for the last decade or so, and across East Africa. I saw how our brothers and sisters got shocked in Tanzania when the last elections were coming. They did not see it coming because they had largely underestimated the power of the youth and how fast this the demographics are shifting towards the youth. And so I just thought I should use this time to share with you. Maybe it will open your eyes to see where we are as a country and what you can do. Some of us who are in this discussion today, either you are a parent to youth or you are a relative to youth, and you know their numbers. So I'm just going to run you through our history so that we understand the role that the youth have played in our history. I'll also take you through just a few slides to show you where we are currently in this future picture. Okay, so maybe I could start by telling you what I do currently with the youth. I'm currently working with the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. I have the privilege to work there with one of our OBs. This is Engineer Kijka Kenneth. Engineer Kijka is on our board, so in many ways is also is my peer, but is also my boss in that regard. But within the Private Sector Foundation family, we got a grant from MasterCard Foundation. Now, with this grant, our job is to help address the issue of the high youth unemployment. And we're given a target to open up at least 300,000 new work opportunities within the next 5 years. So our focus, we work with key private sector companies in 5 key sectors. One is the agriculture sector, the other one is construction, the other one is tourism, the other one is manufacturing, the other one is trade and allied services sector. These are some of the key sectors in our economy. So I guess within PSFU, they picked only 5, I think, out of the 12 that appear in our national development plan. I just want to give you an example of 2 that we are working with right now. One is Mukwano Millers. Mukwano invested in a factory in Lira. They crush sunflower and soybean into cooking oil. Now, it's a 400 metric ton facility. But interestingly, this facility up to today is working at only 40% capacity, if not less. Reason being, they do not have enough sunflower or soybean to crush in their factory. But at the same time, you have young people in Lira that are unemployed. Actually, in the entire Lango sub-region, you have young people that are unemployed. They don't know what to do with their time or with their lives. So our job is to link them to Mukwano industries, show them the opportunity that they stand to make, the amount of money that they can make from growing soybean and sunflower per acre professionally, using good farming practice. But also through Mukwano, we ensure that they have access to high quality seeds and fertilizer, and of course know-how. And then we link them to Mukwano, who is the market. So that's on the agriculture side. One of the other companies that we are now going to start working with is, and with Mukwano, the target is to work with 50,000 youth as farmers. Some of them are going to be farmers. Some of them will also form an extension of the trading arm for Mukwano. So they're going to be selling Mukwano products on credit. Now you can imagine we have young people who don't even know that these opportunities exist. So now the other area that I can share with you is within the hair care and cosmetics products industry. Now, some of you may not know about Movit, but Movit has grown in size to become one of the leading hair care product manufacturers in East Africa. And it is steadily chasing the Africa Cup. Now, you know, or you may not know, within our country here today, how salons spring up. Someone like us, one of our OBs here, may have had some bit of money. Maybe your cousin or your brother or your sister came and convinced you, a salon is correct. Is it the case? Okay, now you put in money, and you're dealing with a person who has never even been trained on how to look after, how to work on hair. But they go in, they work on hair. Maybe they learned on the job. And then life goes on. Bring me that. Life goes on like that. But largely, it's because we have salon owners that are not trained at all. So now yet the need for salon services has grown over the years. So our job is to train at least 10,000 young people. We're also going to connect them to salons. We are actually in partnership with Movit going to open for them salons. Movit is going to contribute salon equipment. These young people will also be connected to a bank where they can get some loans, some small loans. They will be given hair care products by Movit on credit, which they can pay back once they start making money. Our money is going to go into training them on how to run a business, how to think like a business person. And these are basic things. I remember our brother Han Singuzi was telling us some time back about the basics that we Ugandans lack, just basic customer service. We want to teach them these things so that they know, and then we shall brand they are going to be containerized salons. We shall brand it and make it look nice, so that when you walk into that place, maybe you're looking for barbershop services, you will get a professional service and you'll be treated like a king. So you see, it is these small things sometimes that cause our young people, not to make money. So I just wanted to give you that example, but a little bit about our history. Many times when we talk about the youth, we may not realize that the youth in our country have played a very big role. We may think that the story of the youth started yesterday. Me, I'm going to go back in history in 1986. In many ways, the history of Uganda was started in 1986. But there could be other examples before 1986. We know that the youth played a very big role in the liberation struggle for Uganda. Some of the young people that joined the war, our colleagues, maybe they were ahead of us, and now they are our leaders. But the story of young people in our country did not start yesterday. It started a while back. And it's important that we pay a keen attention to this issue. because some people say history has a knack of repeating itself. When you look at our history, there are many faces of leaders around us today, leaders that we now, maybe we admire, we look at them from far, we don't know that they started whatever it is that they started long ago. One of them is the Honorable Jim Muhwezi. When you look in the books of history, he joined the struggle at the age of 31. And so if we're to work on an age bracket of between 18 and 34 as the age bracket for youth, then in many ways he fitted that mark. So he joined the struggle in 1981 after abandoning his police post. We know from history that Dr. Besigye also joined, I think he was one of the youngest ministers by then. He was the Minister of State for Internal Affairs at the age of 29 when the NRM government took over. We know also from history that General Salim Saleh joined the struggle. Imagine at the age of 16, and he's been at it for a long time, maybe till now. And even when we move away from the security scene or politics scene, and we get into the business world, we know people like Patrick Tature. They started Simba Telecom as early as 1998. So he may not have fitted the youth bracket by then, but for all intents and purposes, he was a young man when he started Simba Telecom. But before that, we know he had, I've forgotten the name of the video library, but I'm sure there are people on the group who know. He had a video library on Kampala Road, which was making some good money. And by then, these were some of the people we are admiring in our business world. In the professional world, I don't know how many of you recognize the picture of this man here at the bottom next to Afande Saleh. Anyone recognize him? Anyone recognize this man?
Dr. Lukuya.
Dr. Lukuya played a very big role in our country. Many of us got to know him because of the Ebola pandemic. But at the age of 26, he became an intern at St. Mary's Hospital. I'm sure the guys in the medical fraternity would identify with him. But for me, because of what he did, we know the story of Ebola in our country. When it was at its peak, when doctors were running away, for him, he refused to run away because of the oath that doctors make. For him, he locked himself up with the patients and he died with them. But the point is, he started also at an early age. And these faces are aged in our history. If they could make a mark which is still affecting us now, and by then our youth population was not as big as it is now, there can be no doubt that the youth will continue to play a role. They've played a role in our past. They're here with us today. As I'm going to show you in the next slide, when you look at our demographics, this table, I love it so much because it is telling. This is a table that was developed a while back in 2011. When you look on the left side, this is our population. This is what our population demographics looked like. We had a growing number of young people, but most of our population was locked up. There was an even distribution. But when we look at, this was in 2010, on your left is what 2010 looked like. But when you go into 2050, you see that in 2050, most of us will have entered the 7th floor, okay? Now you can look at the 7th floor here. We are going to be the minority in our country. The 80 plus are going to be the minority. But look at where the majority are going to be. And so this is quite telling. When you look at these statistics, it means everything around our society is going to be affected by these youth statistics. How we move, if you are on this platform and you are a transporter, or you are in the infrastructure industry or Ministry of Works, it means the infrastructure we build in the future must bear in mind that we're going to have many young people. The way young people move is not the way old people move. The way young people communicate is not the way old people communicate. The way young people eat and what they eat is not what old people eat. The diseases that affect young people, STDs, malaria perhaps, and other opportunistic diseases are not the same that affect older people. And so whether you look at it from a health perspective, whether you look at it from a political perspective, this number of the young people is going to play a very big role in determining how our lives are going to be shaped by 2050. And whether we like it or not, unless there is a campaign to get rid of all our youth, and some of them are our children, they will play a very big role in shaping our lives. In fact, they are going to be playing a very big role in making the laws that affect you and I, whether we like it or not. Now, when you look also at our population projections, this was developed by the World Bank. This was for 2020. There is concern about the population demographics in Uganda. One, largely because we are the youngest country in the world, and also because we are one of the most productive countries in the world. Our children give birth to children. Now, when you look at the projections of our population by 2060, as of 2020, the projection was that would be at about 46 million people, which is almost spot on. So when you look at the blue line here, and you look at 2040, 20 years from now, we're going to be 74 million people, almost double where we are now. And when you look at this green line, this represents the rural population. Rural population is going to dwindle. And that is largely because the urban population is growing and is going to continue growing. Now, we do not only have the youngest population in the world, but we have many young people that are going to be living in our cities. Now, if you are in the real estate business, this should tell you something about the future. The way the houses we build, we are not going to have as much space as we've been having now to build huge mansions. These apartments that we see springing up right now, they are going to continue springing up, and they're going to probably even become taller than they are right now. And then also, if you're in the real estate business, this demographic is important for you. Do you invest up country? But even if you're investing up country, do you invest in Isinjiro or do you invest in Barara? Are the people in Isinjiro, for example, in Masha, are they increasing in number, or are the people from Isinjiro moving towards Barara? Are the people from Masaka settling in Masaka as a city, or are they moving to Kampala? And even for the people who are moving, most of the people who are moving are largely young people. Now, so the demographics available show that Uganda, the youth in Uganda are the youngest population in the world. 77% of our population being under the age of 25, yeah? Now, and then when you look at information from the United Nations, UNFP, I've forgotten what it is in full, at least 1 in 4 teenage girls in Uganda have had a child or are pregnant. That was then. Now, with exposure to internet and many other things, I bet you this number is going to increase. And so we are going to continue having more young people, but this time around, the more young people are going to give birth to other young people. Now, this is going to determine many things. For example, right now as a country, we are moving towards e-government solutions, e-solutions. And I guess this is why our OB and brother Colin, who will come from NITA, would want to talk to us. One of the things that is informing the team at NITA to do the things they're doing, e-government, is because of our demographics. Because we have younger people, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be doing at a national level, at an individual level, is largely going to be ICT driven. I remember Han Msing's, when he was speaking to us, he alluded to this at some point. And I hope we took him seriously about it. And if there are any policymakers that are on this platform now, it also means that when we are thinking of designing jobs for the future or attracting investments in the future in our country, they should be largely ICT-driven investments, because the ICT sector is going to swallow a number of jobs in our country because of the demographics. Okay, so let's look at where the young people are right now. So we have two groups of youth. There are the productive youth, and then there is the unproductive youth. And by the way, for me this evening, my job is to stimulate discussion. I am not presenting an academic paper. Now, the productive youth around us, and by the way, these are the few that are productive. Some of them are in the agriculture sector. So this first image is of a young lady that is in the agriculture sector. So those are few. There are some that are working within the industry, ICT sector, telecoms. But again, those are few. We have a growing number of young people that have gotten into the border business. I don't know the number now, but I know if you Google, you can get the number. This number is actually going to grow. A lot of the mobility solutions that are coming up in our country are largely border driven. Yeah. Now, we also have some young people that are doing odd business. This is a Rolex guy. The other day, the PS for Minister of Finance was saying he is going to advocate, talk to the president, that we lift the curfew, that the night economy of Uganda may come back to life. So if you're driving from Chiwatule to Kampala town, in the morning, you may not see this Rolex guy. But when you're driving back home in the evening, on the very same road where you pass, there is the Rolex guy. There are people selling shoes. There are people selling clothes. There are people selling all sorts of things. Now that's the night economy is talking about. But that night economy is largely run by young people. There are people selling chicken. There are people selling sausages and all sorts of stuff. There are a few young people that are working in salons as salon workers. Okay, so this last image, if Afande Johnson Namanya has joined us this evening. If Afande Johnson Namanya has joined us this evening, this last image he can relate with, or we can all relate with. We know the number of young people that are leaving our country to go and work in the Middle East. At first, I thought it was a bad thing. But now I'm beginning to realize maybe it's not a bad thing. So those are the productive ones. Also, within the security services, so we are very lucky that our commander-in-chief and all the people that work with him in the security services have largely transformed our security services. Now, our security services are largely youth-driven. Young people in our army, in the police, uniformed and non-uniformed services, which is a good thing. Yeah. And even talking of security, if you've been following the story of in Ethiopia, you will know that a number of the rebel forces from Tigray and Oromia are actually youth. You just focus on the images you see and you'll be shocked. They're largely youth. And so you may even argue, of course, in Ethiopia, there are other dynamics, tribal, economic, but perhaps even the age factor may come to play. So anyway, by and large, I was saying our security services are young, which is a good thing. We also have a few people that work in our factories. And this number is growing of youth working in factories. We have a few people, a few young people that are working in offices. It's not a big number. But then we also have a big number of young people that are working in restaurants, the turning in a business. It's quite a bit. Of course, there are other sectors which I didn't put there here, like within our markets and things like that. Yeah, but now, what are the unproductive youth doing? Of course, I was in Kisoro. I was in Kisoro about 3 weeks ago, and I was shocked actually from Kabale. Moved from Kabale, I was working with the team from Nile Breweries. We want to start working with them so that young people can be trained on how to grow barley and sorghum, because the demand for beer products is increasing at a faster rate than we can, as a country, supply them enough barley and sorghum. So now this is what forms the basis of opportunities for young people. So I was talking to the elders there and the leaders about it, but I was shocked to find in Kabale, young people had started drinking as early as 8:30. I don't know where they get the money from to drink, but we know that when they're not involved in alcohol abuse, they are involved in drug abuse, and they're largely a nuisance to the society, and they're keeping our security services busy. Now, when they're not involved in that stuff, you know that there are young people that are now becoming more politically active in our country. Actually, for the first time in many years, we have one of the most youthful parliaments in our country. And it would be interesting to study and see if that same demographic carries along in Kenya and in Uganda. But the whole point is the young people around us have woken up to the realization that politics can make them money, and they have gone there. Now, some of them are not going there because they want to help the country. Some of them are going there because they are hungry, and also because they have failed to get jobs and opportunities. But now, what I want to mention here is whether we like it or not, because of our demographics as they stand right now, we are going to continue to see younger people, and younger people, even perhaps way younger than Bobby Wine, getting into the picture. This time we may have been lucky that there was Bobby Wine who we knew as a musician. But as we grow older, there are other musicians that are getting into the scene that you and I know nothing about, and they're going to become more politically active. In fact, whether we like it or not, over the next decade, our parliament, perhaps even legislative arm of business, is going to become much younger than ever before. Okay, so now I just wanted us to get a bit more practical. You have seen the dynamics from where the youth are employed right now, those that are productive. And we know where the ones that are unproductive. So what is your role as an individual? The other day, the day when Bobby Wine appeared on the scene and submitted his papers as a presidential candidate, I had an Uber driver who picked me from Bugolobi and took me to Luzira. So that guy opened up my eyes, because he started asking me. He asked me, and he was actually calling me Mzee. He said, Mzee, did you see what happened in the news today? Now, me, I was seated in the back seat. I was working on my laptop, chasing deadlines. So I didn't have time for him. I said, no, he said, I wasn't following what was happening. Then I ignored him. And then after 5 minutes, he told me, no, I think, Mzee, you need to pay attention to what happened today. I asked him why. He said, there was something that happened. Bobby Wine went to Parliament to swear in. I said, okay, thank you for informing me. I continued doing my work. Then he told me about 5 minutes, and I said, Mzee, I don't think you've understood what I've told you. So now I got concerned. I said, maybe I stopped doing what I'm doing and I listened to him. I said, okay, tell me, since you think you have something that is more important than what I'm working on here, tell me, my friend, you look like a well-meaning Ugandan. I said, since you are the judge of Ugandans, tell me. He said, if I was in your shoes, I would pay attention to what happened to us. I said, so what happened? He said, Bobby Wine went to Parliament today, but I think what you need to do is pay attention to the number of people that escorted him from Parliament up to Kamocha. I said, what's the big deal? He said, no, you go back home, watch the news, and see the dynamics around you. He was surrounded by so many young people. I said, so what are you saying? He said, I'm just telling you that you people, and now he's now changing his tone. You people, I said, which people are you referring to? He said, no, you people of your age, Mavaze, I said, that is a very strong language you're using. Mwebani said, no, I just want to show you something. So by then we had entered Chitinta. He said, I want you to start observing from where we are. Let's count the number of young people that are by the roadside. So I said, okay, we can count. We started counting border people. We counted Rolex people. We counted women selling ngoye on the roadside. We counted more border people, you know, up to when we got to my gate at home. I said, he told me, Mzee Olabi? I said, yes. That now you, every morning, you get out of your gate in the morning, you put up your windows, put on AC, drive your vehicle, go home. You drive past all these people in the morning. I said, yes, I actually do that. He said, I said, now what do you want me to do? Now, I had changed my tone totally. I told him, switch off your engine. We had reached my gate. Said, switch off your engine. Now let's talk. Told him, Mzee, this is what I do. Now he tells me his story. He said, because I told him, you know what? Even you, when I look at you, you don't look like you're so young. And because you're an Uber driver, I asked him, Enomotoka iyo? He said, yes, young. I said, okay. So if shit hits the fan here, I will suffer, and even you as a vehicle owner, you will suffer. He said, yes. So I said, we are in it together. He said, yes. Then he told me, but for him, the difference is he has learned to invest in young people. I said, how? He told me, now for me, what I've done, I get some money and I have invested in the football club in our place. He told me he comes from Nakulabi, that is a football club there. So every Sunday he goes to watch the village football. Now me, I'm just listening. So yeah, I go and watch the village football. I sponsored at least one match. So I even I offered to buy them at least 3 footballs. That's a good idea. Said the other thing I did, I now own 2 Rolex stands. I looked for 2 of the most destitute people within the village. Within the car, they were doing nothing. And I started for them a Rolex stand. I said, how do you do it? So he explained it to me. And so he was telling me, you know, these people we see doing Rolex, actually many of them don't even own the stands. They are working for their landlords, as it were. I said, kakati kufunira mo. I said, no, me, they pay me my money every day, what I invested in the Rolex stand. And then after they have paid me the full amount, then they just give me a Casimo every day when I'm passing by. I said, wow, that's interesting. And he told me, even for the border people that you see around you, take interest in them. You don't have to use your vehicle every day. You may want to start using a border once in a while. And perhaps even make the leader of the border stage your friend, personal friend. I said, aha, now I've got you. I think I understand what you're saying. I have been going past all these people all this time, not paying attention to that. So during that time, I went and I looked for the leader of the border stage at my place where I stay here near Mutungu. I got to know him, we got to talk. I invited him home, and now we are actually friends. We sit, we talk. I now started taking interest in his life. He's a young man with a family of 3. I said, I want to understand, what are your plans? What are your ambitions? What are your frustrations? You know, like a friend would to another. And so our relationship has transcended. I don't know whether I can, at least in my opinion, it's no longer a customer and a supplier relationship. I think we are friends. Even at home, he is known to my people. I even know his people at home. Which leads me to this last slide, and this is where I wanted us to spend most of our time. Like I said, I did not come to submit an academic paper. I just came to wake you up to the realization that the youth are here with us and they're here to stay. And the sooner we do something with them and about them, the better for us. There are many ways in which you can play a role with the youth today. One, of course, is being a responsible father to your immediate family. Not all the street children we have on our streets don't have fathers. Some of them, their fathers could be members of NSOBA. So maybe the first thing we could do, and you know, we may have left some children in Kajogo. So to be responsible fathers. The other thing we want to start doing within our communities is to become a mentor to the youth. I'm going to give you an example of our brother here on this call, Han Musingus. He shared with us a video some time back of the fish, what do you call it? The fish business he has started in Isinchiro. There is a very high chance that most of the people that are working with him at now am I forgetting what they are called, the fish ponds, are young people. Now, Han, you may not know what you're doing, but what you have done in Isinchiro, you have actually become a mentor. Those people are looking up to you. You have given them a livelihood. You may not know it, so I just want you to know today. You inspired me, and I sincerely hope, and even for some of those young people, you inspired them and they did not see an opportunity to make money out of you and to rob you more than to learn from you. But either way, because of what you did, there are some people now in Isinchiro that have jobs. Now, the other thing we can do, many of us now are employers. We can have a deliberate effort to say, within your employment policies, I'm going to employ young people. And also you can focus, you can now begin to open your eyes to young people that have not had the same opportunities like you and I. One of the reasons why some of us are on this call, we were privileged to have parents who took us to Ntare school. Now, not all the young people who come next to you have that opportunity. So even as you're an employer at your place of work, you can pick a young man who you choose to mentor, to turn their brains to start thinking the way you and I think, because in a constructive manner, because if we do not do that, we are seated on a time bomb. I'm not going to talk about innovation. Our brother Han Singuzi talked about this a while back. But the more innovative solutions we bring to the table, the more jobs we're going to create for young people. But of course, the most important thing, why I was telling you that story earlier on of what I'm now doing with the leader of our border stage at home, is because I want to be a positive voice. I sit with him, we talk, I ask him, he tells me, government, those people. Then I try and explain to him, government can never do everything for you. In fact, for me, I cannot say they have fed me, but you can come out and also do something on your own. Then I explained to him, just to let him know that some of us were not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. We also had to struggle to be where we are. And they also need to understand that there's no free money. Yes, there may be a few people around us who are earning free money, but not all of us are going to make free money. And then we teach them to understand what life is. Some of the young people around us have grown up without a father, without a mother. They have grown up as orphans. They were trained by the world. And when you're trained by the world, there's nothing, necessarily constructive that may come out of you sometimes, unless you find someone who may be a member of this NSOBA fraternity, who picks you up from the street and tells you, from today onwards, I'm going to become your father. Because after all, the requirement may not be that much. It is a shirt and a trouser here and there. It is school fees for, it's not even an international school. We know even as a fraternity here, we have been collecting fees for some underprivileged children who were found in the village. They are intelligent, but they don't have the resources to do. What we've succeeded in doing through these young people is mentoring them, fathering them. You will actually discover in future, if the people who brought them to the fraternity are still in touch with them, they are going to change the way they think, and they will begin to think in a constructive way like us. And so, Bonadic, I just want to stop there and open up the discussion in case there are any questions, in case there are any more submissions on this topic. And I sincerely hope that I have succeeded in opening your eyes into understanding the youth are not the future, as we used to say. They are our present, and they will remain in charge for a long time to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Apollo, Senior OB. Apollo, were you information prefect or entertainment prefect at Intare?
I was information prefect. I was information prefect in Intare, but at Vision Empire I was the entertainment prefect. If you know what I mean. Bonadic, I hope you heard that. Yeah?
Dixon, are you in Rwampara? It seems you don't have network.
I have good network here. I'm in Kampala. I shifted from Rwampara a long time ago.
And while we are on that subject,
but the Rwampara hasn't shifted yet.
I hope I'm audible now. Can I proceed?
Yeah, proceed.
Okay. I was saying I migrated from Rwampara a long time ago. I am now a telephone Rwamparian, but my base is in Kampala. Now, the youth. Yes, Apollo, thanks for opening our eyes. We can now hear, and thanks for opening our ears. We can now see. Now, I know people are still concerned about the small numbers of the members who are attending. Personally, I'm not bothered. What matters is the knowledge I'm getting and what our colleagues are getting. You realize there's a consistent, not a consistent number, but the members who are attending these sessions are a bit consistent. Around 70% of them are consistent. I'm now getting used to their names, the Ben Pauls, Dr. Alan, Hans, Adoch, Mark, Milton Arch, Kaverau. They are the same people who are attending. So I'm not bothered with the numbers. Me, I'm getting the knowledge. We have created a platform where we can always share, meet and network. We share knowledge, experiences, opportunities and challenges out there. Please note, this is a purely private initiative between just a few of us. Of course, we are riding on the NSOBA brand as an association, but it's purely private. It's not sponsored by NSOBA as an association. We used to have a workmate who used to say that knowledge is power. When we would send him for a training and he comes back, he would just keep quiet. You ask him what he has learned, he says, knowledge is power, wait for your turn. When you go there, you'll also learn. So for us, we don't want to say that knowledge is power. It can only be powerful when it is shared with others. Now, there are no questions we are going to ask, I guess, but we can only have contributions to the topic, which Apollo has, I think, squarely managed to present. So what we do, we can ask members, to those who really want to contribute, unmute, share your experiences, share your knowledge. I have an issue with the youth in my village in Rampara, where I migrated from. Most of them didn't cross with me to Ntare. Those who managed didn't cross to HSC. Those who managed didn't cross to beyond that. Every time I want to sleep in Rampara, at times I'm forced to go a bit early from Barara because I don't know who is going to throw the next stone on my windshield after he has drank some good bujakure, which is very cheap. So guys, share your experiences and how we can handle these issues. Is it Hans first?
Hello. Yeah, I'm ready to shoot.
Hello.
Okay, Hans first.
Yeah, gentlemen, good evening. Dixon, thank you. Thank you for the good deliberation skills. Slowly, I am seeing a youthful Kabushenga taking over. As Kabushenga edges out, you're coming in as far as hosting skills are concerned. So yeah, keep it up. Well done. Now, I have one question at the end of my submission or my contribution. Yeah, I am one of the people that are highly disappointed by the government's approach towards youth empowerment. And at times, I just console myself because I'm one of those people who believes in self-empowerment. I don't expect anybody to pick me up and push me. I've done that for almost my entire life. So I never want to blame anybody, but I want to blame the government partly for being a bit insensitive when it comes to projects that are meant to empower the youth, especially those that are in our villages, in Isinjiro, in Ruampara. There's a big problem. If you look at the political trends in Uganda during the elections, the time before the elections, like Apollo submitted. Apollo, I want to first thank you, by the way, for bringing up this topic. It's a highly contentious topic. We can discuss it the entire year because it's something that we need to take very serious. So I'm looking at the time before the elections, where Bobby Wine came and became a sensation, and we had charged youth. I remember at one point there's a young man who was, I think, hit by a bullet, and he was telling the auntie that he can die. He has nothing to lose. For the people that are staying behind will enjoy after they have won something. And I think Bobby Wine realized that there was something that he could ride on, which made him very popular. I don't think Bobby Wine as a person would have pulled all those numbers if there wasn't an underlying problem that he managed to ride onto. And the problem is the youth. We have so many youth that are out there doing nothing. They are the ones who are staging, what do they call it? This thing of grabbing the neck at night, and they take your property and everything. Grabbing you, what? What is it called? There's something that they always do, and they practice it. They are in the gym, they are smoking marijuana in the day, at night, kabadia. At night, when some of self-driven keep on going up while very many people are becoming jobless and, getting into those activities. Because at the end of the day, you will find that your big house that you have constructed, but then the surrounding will be full of thugs that will be hitting you at the gate. So it's important that we take on this and look at opportunities or ways, different ways or that we can, get into our communities and try to help 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. I am personally doing a lot of this. I have so many ideas that I'm trying to implement in Isindiro, not in Kampala. Kampala has so many people to take care of it. But I look at my people in Isindiro when I drive by, and they all line up. Not because they are happy to see me or anything, but because they know Gagaze is going to leave us with like a 50K. 50 youthful people who are on borders, that they have either attained on loan, or you find one person got the border from the loan for a border from the bank. Dixon, this is the 5th rider. We only ride, you come and give them 50,000. You have saved huge shame to this government, resources and innovations, and get into it. Stop blaming the government and do something.
Have my Rwampara people cut off.
Hannes, your network is bad.
No. Yeah, I had to go on Wi-Fi, so sorry about that. I don't know when I dropped off, but I wanted to raise 3 important concerns. That one, you mentioned about numbers and how you're not bothered by numbers and all that. I fall in that same category. In fact, for me, I've gone a step ahead to categorize people or the community into 2 categories. One is of leaders and followers. So you can choose on where you want to fall. But I believe that the people we have here are those that have recognized that there is a problem and something needs to be done. I call those the leaders category. And then there are those followers, whether they are here or not, they will need the leaders to lead them. Even in the workspace, that is what we have there. You have people that will grow into CEOs and go on to do their own businesses, but you have those that will always need somebody to guide them. So you shouldn't blame those that don't come along. The leaders will always come in and help them. That takes me to the other point. It is important that as individuals who have managed to do something or get somewhere, it is important that we go back to our communities and become the leaders there. One day I was working on a road in Ngarama. I'm not from Ngarama, but I bought a banana plantation in Ngarama, and I realized there was a big problem. There's a hospital just after the banana plantation, and cars could not get there. So imagine a vehicle brings a patient, and they have to carry the patient for almost 1 kilometer to the hospital because the vehicles cannot get there. When I talked to some people around my banana plantation, living around the banana plantation, they said, if you can clear that part of the road, that's where the vehicles always fail to pass. And I had to take a grader down there and did about almost 2 kilometers of the road. Of course, it's a graded road. It's not a tarmac road or anything. I can't afford a tarmac road. But I felt so good because I had done something for the community. Now, it is not only for the community, it also helps me because now I can push a lorry from the road and take it up to the banana plantation and do some loading. So while I did something to benefit me, the community benefited even more. In fact, some, when I go, they keep on telling me they are tired of Rwamirama. They want me to stand and become their MP until I stand and get 0 votes. But that is what happens in the community. You do something and people will actually appreciate it. So I want to call upon people that are listening in that it is important that we go back to these communities and do something there. And what do we have to do? There are some innovations that you can actually do. Value addition, for example. Today I was talking to one of my vets. He also helps me with feeding because I do zero grazing. So he helps me with feeding and those concentrates that I have to add in and all that. And we are talking about soya, the soya bean. Right now, soya is nowhere. But then he says some people down there in Fort Portal are actually failing to get even someone to buy it from them. But in Kampala, the price of soya is going up. Now, if somebody went into whatever, to a place where soya is, just like Apollo said, one, you can help people start growing soya because everybody now is looking at soya. It's nowhere. It's becoming a highly demanded cereal, but it is nowhere in as far as high protein content seedlings are concerned. So when it comes to feeds for animals, everybody wants soya, but it's nowhere. So there is an opportunity there. You can either mobilize people into growing soya, but you can also mobilize youth into brokering. Get the soya, bring it into one particular place, someone picks it up, does the roasting, does the value addition, and brings it to Kampala, sells it to people who want to take it to Malawi, to Zambia, and all that. That's creating a value chain. But there's also so much that we can do. That you can do chicken, you can do, and like you said, I do chicken, and I have about 3 people looking after the chicken. I do cows, I have 3 people that are looking after the cows. The banana plantation, I employ about 5, but every once in a while you have even 10, depending on what you're doing there. There are those cutting, there are those carrying. I want to go in 2 goats, I will need about 5 people that are going to be doing that. You go into milk and value addition, you employ some youth. So as we do this stuff, let us not do it for ourselves. Let us also teach the youth. For example, in Sinjiro, what I want to do with the chicken, I want to ensure that at least every small family has 2, 3, 4 birds that they can actually take care of. Now, how much is a bird really? A 1-day-old or 2-day-old chick, I think Mark was selling them for about 3,000. If I got about 5 million and committed it to, buying these chicks, and then I bring the youth in my village and teach them how to actually go into poultry. I mean, some will even come as a group. If you mobilize the border guys and tell them, you know what, you guys, one, we are going to open up an account, you're going to do an investment club, you're going to put in like a 50K maybe every month, and I'm going to give you chicken so that you can go into poultry. Or you have a dam at your place. This water in Sinjiro, we have streams that run across. You can easily work with government, get excavate for them, and they go into fish farm. So there is so much that we need to do as individuals, whenever it wants to join us. But let's not be limited by the fact that the government is supposed to be doing this thing and try to do something that can actually grow. You said, Dixon, that there would be no questions, but me, I have a question. As I dream of a couple of things that I can do for the youth, I have limitations. There is something I want to do in Sinjiro, for example, and need some good money, so I'm using individual savings in Sinjiro. Then something comes up in Kampala, then you have other businesses that you have to start up that are not necessarily down in the village. But there is so much that I want to do for my community. I am limited by cash. Now, as I talk to because I do a lot of visits to people's farms, to guys who are really, really doing fine in as far as agriculture is concerned. And they have taught me 2 things. One, that we should stop going into agriculture for leisure. We need to commercialize agriculture. And that comes with a strategic approach, a scientific approach to the whole agriculture thing. You don't just put in money and that's it. You need to go in there, you do records, You need to go in there, you do research, you need to go in there and know that I'm going to get eggs, and when I get the eggs, I'm selling them here. When I sell, if I can't sell the eggs, then I'm going to do this. If I can't do this, then I'm going to do that. So we need to start asking ourselves, we need to go in strategically, not because you have saved some 20 million, you go and buy cows and throw them in the village. Then before you know, they are dying of ECF, and you can't even get any milk from them. The neighbors are complaining because the cows are eating their crop and all that. So we need to go in strategically to make money. Now, how do we move towards making money? Of course, you must start. When you start, then you need to come up with programs that can actually do that. You realize that agriculture is, you need funding. Now, what opportunities, and this goes to you, Apollo, what opportunities do we have out there in as far as funding is concerned? What do I need to do as a young inspirational farmer who's trying to do something for my community? What do I have to do? How do I have to prepare myself to tap into this 41 billion, for example, that you talked about? If I have some ideas that I believe I can, put into a concept on paper, can I share with you? How do you guide us to tap into the 41 billion that you have? Because government, I don't know, it might come, it might never come. Of course, there are also opportunities with banks. I heard that there is money in Post Bank, there is money in Stanbic that farmers can tap into. But when you go into these, you realize then they will ask for collateral. So many people don't have collateral. So many of us have land and we don't even have titles. So you go and they tell you, even when you have a title, this can only fetch you 10 million. But if you had a structure on that piece of land, then you'll even get more money. So you realize that so many people have tried and gotten frustrated. How can we prepare ourselves and ready ourselves for this money that you're talking about, the 41 million? Is it only private sector foundation that is using it to empower the youth? Or if somebody that is already doing something got on board, what is there a chance that you can actually give us a push? I beg to stop there to allow others to submit, but Apple, I would really need you to come in and guide on how we can actually partner with you to empower the youth within our community. Otherwise, thank you, people, and I wish you good deliberations.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Hans. Mark, I saw your hand has been up for a very long time, though you went off and came back. Your last point, Mark, was on agriculture. Next week, we are bringing you Professor, the President, Uganda National Farmers Federation, is our Dr. Dick Nwamanya Kamuganga. About a month ago, he failed to make it to the show, and he apologized for that, and he's coming back on Saturday. I saw him join earlier, but I think he again left. Probably will join later. So next week, we have the topic will be on agriculture, the opportunities, the challenges, and all that. Mark, your hand has been up for a long time, so let me give you the opportunity first. Mark Amumpiri.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very well.
Yes, thank you, Dixon, for this organizing this Kiganiro. They are really very informative, and we get to learn a thing or two from them. I would also like to thank Apollo for daring to make this presentation, because the story about the youth is a very, very wide topic. Very, very wide topic, and I really appreciate your good attempt, and you covered very many areas, but needless to say, there are very many others that haven't been covered. Hans said a lot of what I wanted to contribute, but there is something that probably I may repeat or re-emphasize, and that is the attitude of work, the youth's attitude of work. It is becoming so deplorable. The youth, I think, from what they see, from what they read in the papers or listen on the news, and see people getting rich quick, they want to get rich quick without doing almost nothing. They don't want to work, especially in manual jobs. I do some farming, but I have a problem getting workers, especially from my neighboring community. I always have to go to either Uganda or to Chikagati sides to get workers. Actually, Chitwe, I get workers from Chitwe. And but the people from around my place don't want to work. And they keep on making noise that I've got a big project, I don't employ them. When they come to work for 2-3 days, they walk away. But other people, which I think is a very bad attitude. And even when you go, the more you move into the urban areas, the more this problem is pronounced. Many youth despise jobs, and yet they want to spending heavily. By the way, if you go to a nightclub these days and you see the way these young people spend money on drinks and eats, you live scared because you certainly can't afford that lifestyle. So that is my challenge, is that our youth have got a poor mindset and a bad and dangerous mindset where they despise work. Many don't want to actually work, but all of them want to spend, and they want to spend heavily. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Next is, was he called Jagenda? Yeah, Ronald.
Hello?
Yes, Ronald.
Hello?
Yes, Ronald, please go ahead.
Are you getting me?
We are getting you, Ronald.
Yes, nice to hear from you. Thank you very much for organizing this Kiganiro. I want to really appreciate, first of all, to congratulate you and also to give you comfort that mobilizing communities and societies is not very easy. Many times people, either they don't know what they want or they know it, but they think nobody can help them. So please take it easy. And in life, don't make big targets. Even if this Kiganiro helped only one person or two, that will still be success. Two last points. One, that we are taking the issue of youth lightly and casually, and it's going to be a big problem. Right now, many parents are clamoring that the schools should open. Not necessarily because they want their children to go back to school and get knowledge. Many of them, because they want the youth to go away from them. Somebody should be able to help them to solve the problem of the youth. So this is very timely. But like Mark has said, the aspects around youth are many. You have touched a few, and we shall encourage other people to touch many. The next Kiganiro is very critical because agriculture now is the most promising sector that can help us to get money for the economy, but also for ourselves. So the presenter, you have selected the right one, and I want to encourage everybody to come. Lastly, just as a joke, I attempted to mobilize some communities in my place. And when I called about 30 people, they asked me, what's the topic? I said, we've gotten some prominent person to come and teach us how to make money. Then they asked me, how much are you going to pay us to come and attend that meeting of yours, which is going to teach us to make money for ourselves? That helped me to understand what society is. And this is the last one for you to be encouraged. Don't give up, continue. This is the way to go. And even if we go beyond this lockdown, we must continue with this technology, because it joins us wherever we are. Some of us are in Kampala, others in Kunjiri, others are even out of the country. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Thank you, Ronald Jagenda Segawa. Surely, if you invite me for a meeting to teach me how to make money, you must give me some money. If you don't give me, then that means there's no money. You can't just be like any other motivational speaker. You don't have money. Now you've called me for a meeting. call me for a meeting, teach me how to make money, and give me some money. Then I will know that you've told me. Next person. Next, we can have 2-3 more before we hand over back to Apollo. Julius, today you're very quiet. I saw you post some good questions on the other side. Apollo, can you take over from there? Then we'll have the final round.
Dixon,
Yes?
I have a problem with my network, so I'm not sure that my network will support me to make my submission. That's why I'm raising most of the questions in the chat.
Okay, 2
But
minutes.
we have just had you.
Okay.
You heard me? You
very
heard me
well.
through and through.
Yeah, you continue and submit.
Continue.
Okay, I have about 2 points to make. One is to thank Apollo for taking the lead to try and shed light on other people look at it as a predicament of the youth, and other people look at it as an opportunity. I think that the youth is a wide topic as part of the overall demographic agenda or perspective of Uganda. Us being one of the youngest nations in the world is a big opportunity, but other people can look at it as a predicament. The second point I wanted to raise is we need to, like Hans said, we need to do a bit more of how we profile what these youth are. When they wake up in the morning, what do they think about? What are their patterns? What are their interests? What are the things that they worry about? And that can be clustered according to where they live, their age group, some of them, their education, what they do on a daily, because it is those trends that help us to understand what kind of interventions can actually, we can engage in order to help the youth. And by the way, when Apple was presenting, he almost created the impression that there are no youth on the platform. He kept saying we need to plan for the youth, but most of us on the platform are actually youth. So I needed to make that correction and to be clear that, yes, we have these people that are almost lost. And if you ask me, the people who are between the ages of 13 and 30 can be clustered into the first segment of 13 up to 20 and 20 up to 25 and 25 to 30. That category of people is in a world of their own. And until we are able to cluster them into different segments that have similar interests and traits and insights and specific attributes about different segments, we shall want to develop interventions that are targeting all of them. And then we have one intervention, which is a one size fits all, and it will defeat the purpose of having to target. So my own view is, I see that Apollo has said that there's a lot of research that has happened and gone into unearthing some of the things that affect youth on a daily. And once we have those, then it's possible to talk about the Rolex stands. It's possible to talk about engaging them in agriculture. For example, if you have most of the youth selling their land in the village to come to the city and to buy a border, what does that speak about? What does that, what is that indicative of? Once we get in the mind of the person who is able to go and fight with his father to get a piece of land as part of their future inheritance, and they want to sell it to come and buy a border in town, and that is the biggest number of the youth that we have in the category of age that I've talked about. It should lead us to what is it that these guys can engage in. And the point that Hans raised about clustering these guys into investment clubs, what is it that stops, especially these youth who come to Kampala. For example, when you go to a border stage, you find that what only brings them together is a stage. It is difficult to find borders having an investment club of their own. You'll find that they have an investment club where they have different other people, but those other different people do not have the same interest. And having an investment club where you don't have similar interests tends to drag the direction of the club and to digress from the goals that are set. So my view is the starting point about these youth should be who are they? What do they do? Where do they live? What do they worry about? And once we are able to have a near actual answer to some of those questions, then it is possible to engage in whatever small way that we can in order to improve the lives of our young people. I thank you.
Thank you, Julius. I'm going to request, okay, George Joshua, MCW. George, we can't hear you, though you're unmuted. IMCW George Joshua, we can't hear you, though I can see you unmuted. George, we can't hear you. Maybe you have to either readjust your gadgets, unplug the headsets. We can't hear you, so I'm going to mute you. Back to Apollo.
Thank you very much, Bernard Dixon. And thank you, Julius, for those submissions. You're actually right. There are many ways in which you can help the youth. Just training, because of the education we got from Untitled School, there are many things which we take for granted. We got very high level education that taught us what we may think are just the basics of life, how to get together, how to network, how to save. Now, many of the people around us did not have that opportunity. So even the smallest contribution you can make, whether it is for the association of the Rolex people near your home, whether it is the association of border riders. Now, like for Hans, the team that is working for Hans, he has a choice. He can be paying them their salary, or even eventually tell them that, you know what, guys, I'll be taking away 10% of your salary and I save it for you by force. And then by the end of the year, you find that they have some savings put aside. Yeah, and that alone can help. And I agree with what our senior Mark Amompiri is saying. The subject of youth is so wide. We cannot finish it. Actually, it is so wide that it is one of the things that keeps our commander-in-chief awake at night. And you can imagine how intelligent that man is. But if it is keeping him awake, then it's a serious issue. There are many things to talk about. And I also agree with what our brother Segawa was saying, the mind. We need to change the way this help change the way these people think. That's why one of the areas we focus on when we're dealing with these young people in our project, we invest in mindset shift training, connecting them to people who have done things. You see now, like what Hans was saying, that for him, he does not believe in handouts. We can have a session where we have Hans seated in front of this, tell them, guys, this is who I am, this is where I came from. I'm not a privileged child, but this is where I've reached purely from hard work. Now they need to hear these things. Brother Mark was saying that these days when you go to clubs, you see how young people are spending money, and their aspiration is to spend big. But where is it coming from? It is just stuck in the mind here. But we have to help them understand that, guys, this is not how the real world works. Some of the people you see spending big money around you have been working for the last 30 years. They may have reason to do whatever it is they're doing. And probably they are spending it from a pot that is not their savings. Yeah. Yeah, but I also agree with what our brother Hans said. His submission was just spot on. In whichever way in which we can work with these people at the local level, let's do what we can. I think Brother Mark was saying that there are young people in his village. I have the same challenge in Rampara. For me, I come from Kashojwa. Now, to get young people there to rally around a project is a very hard thing. But you know, even in Uganda, for me, in some of the agriculture projects I'm a part of, we get Wachiga from Kawale to come and work here. To get people in Uganda to dig on your farm, you must be kidding me. In Mubende, most especially, they are not interested. Now, the young people who are selling their land to come and buy borders, it is just an impression. They believe, but if we take time to help them understand, you're selling this land at what, 12 million? You come and buy a border, or a border funa sente meka. What is the return on investment? You know, we need to start having these discussions with these guys. Yes, what is the return on investment? And we don't have to put in so much Ruzungu. This Ruzungu that is school. We reduce it a bit and say, or tademo sentence, you know, as if was a sentence. After how long will you get it out? And then, yeah, eventually they begin to understand. You know, the way our education system was also structured, it did not teach us to be enterprising people. It prepared us to go and serve other people out there. So I hope I've answered all those questions, Benedictson. Thank you.
Apollo, did you say you're from Rampara?
I'm from Rampara, and I just want to use this opportunity to warn.
You left me to die alone with my
I'm telling you, guys have been attacking us. I'm from Rampara. I'm from Kashosha. Just if you know where.
But you just said there is a problem in Rampara.
So there is.
So members,
big problem of drinking a shandy.
Members, you've all heard. That's another member from Rampara. Apollo, someone was saying that
you're always inviting people from Rampara only.
Apollo, someone was saying that you need to go out there and make money, and if it's not enough, you eat it and start afresh. I think that is Njogera Yarero. Make that money. If it's not enough, eat it, start afresh, make money. If it can't be enough, eat it and start afresh. George Imsue, your hand has been up for some good time, please. George Imsue. Imsue George Joshua. Kindly unmute and unmute again. Okay. What time is it? 7:38. 7:38. We'll just have like 5 minutes and then we close the session. So maybe just in case we have 2 or more additions or subtractions, you can. Today we haven't heard from Architect Milton. I don't know, but I see him online. Can we have 2, 3 more people and then we close the session?
Yeah, true. I came in a little bit late because I've been in transit. And today I made a mistake. I traveled without my headphones, so I couldn't catch up on many things. But to some extent, I was able to listen to Apple. I listened to what reactions were. Ronald, what Hans said, Julius. It was all towards the engagement of the youth and how they can improve their livelihood, which I felt was critical. Actually, the submission by Mark was more or less like what I would have said closing remarks, because he was able to touch on each and every item that was discussed, at least by the time I entered. And it reflected much on what we can best do in order to improve this youth. But I realize there is also something we need to tackle. The politicians are big influencers. They are actually leaders and they influence the youth, but they only influence them during the time of election and to convince everyone that you can live without working by getting handouts from them. And that has been the worst scenario that we have had in this period, where all the youth are expecting handouts from the politicians, and that making it like a way of making money. Either you are in politics or you are not having money. And all the youth now end up trying to ride more borders because that is quick money. And during the time of mobilization of leadership, border people are easily mobilized by just a few tokens, fuel, and the day closes. Instead of engaging the youth in areas where we should be able to do, for example, manufacturing, to do agriculture, which we have set for the next farming, for the next session. I would feel like if the youth were to be encouraged to be in farming, because farming, to a large extent, the tools required to start are not so huge. The capital investment is not so huge that I would believe that it would help the youth to be able to start from somewhere and go to the next stage. But of course, if we had a program also through leadership that distributed manufacturing through the different cells of the country, now we have over 150 districts. If we could have like areas of manufacturing in each of these districts and we be able to engage the youth, we would have a situation where there is innovation. I take an example of China. Almost every district you go to, there is some manufacturing. Actually, manufacturing is like a cottage industry whereby every home has something to produce. And then the country takes it over in marketing. But currently, our youth, I think the biggest employment now we are discussing border. I have not heard of youth being engaged in some agriculture and they produce and they are recognized. But to easily mobilize the youth, just bring borders around, everyone will be present. So I listened it a little bit, but I see it is very engaging and it is a large topic. And I hope when we go next to agriculture, we should be able, agriculture and farming, we should be able to see how we can bring people on board. Then I also listened to the concern of Dixon about attendance, but I can assure you attendance, why there is some semblance of regular attendance for the people who are attending today or yesterday, the other week. It's because they see the interest. And the more people get to see what they gain, the more will be the attendance. And I'm sure many people are missing out because they haven't attended. For me, I just find like, even like now I was in a transit, but I felt so bad because I didn't have headphones. Now I couldn't manage to get every view of everyone. But the conclusive remarks were good. Like I say, Mark Ampere was able to touch on each and every part that was said. And I see all the presenters really did very well. So I would thank everybody. I am not going to conclude. I only came in, but I saw our brother, so Guampororo. I was seeing him on video. He also kept quiet. He can as well come in and conclude. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you much, Arch Milton. Tracy, can you say hi to us? Tracy Kaitesi.
Sorry, I came in a bit late. But yeah, I did hear the discussion, and it's quite a coincidence that I'm actually reading the last chapter of The Richest Man in Babylon, and it's about the youth. So listening to this conversation and reading the book kind of makes sense and I can see where obviously the youth, myself included, I would say, but yeah, I can see where we need to shift the mindset, because there are lots, and I can see this from my friends, because some of them don't really believe in hard work. We believe in spending the money and going back to daddy, I need money and this, and yeah, I didn't, unfortunately I didn't listen to all of it, but it was quite informative. And I'm from Rukunjeri. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. Tracy is from Rukunji, and on her way to Rukunji, of course, she passes through Rampara. I will share with you the recordings of the session and the presentation at that. She's been with us. I think this is her third time. I don't know her. At least I know she passes through Rampara on her way to Rukunji. Hans, it seems
you can access Rukunjiri through Ntungamo, through whatever, through Sinjiro.
Yeah, but you cannot connect.
If you use Sinjiro, you can actually access.
Yeah, but there's somewhere where you
Sinjiro. She does not use Rampara.
You can also access it through Ishaka Ushenyi.
So why don't we fly? You can also fly there.
From Nyachara. Are you trying to insinuate that you can also access it using a bicycle?
Through Kisoro.
By the way, you forgot to, you had to recognize people from Chisoro who are in attendance. There are special people for the next 1 month.
Including the people who marry from there.
Hey, we are more interested in the guys.
You are making it tougher. Yeah.
That means then we'll have to use Bushanyi side. Guys, we need to close the official session. I'm going to Apollo. Did you have anything to add as concluding remarks?
No. I'm done. I just I put some comments there saying I would be interested to see to discuss with the leadership of NSOBA to see if we can set up a challenge for the A-level students, a business or enterprise development challenge. We reward the most innovative idea from the A-level students, so that we start training these young people how to think as job creators rather than as job seekers. I think this is what Tracy was saying. So I'm keen to hold that discussion with the leadership and also see if I can put in some money in that direction for the prize. Thank you.
Thank you, Apollo. Daniel Babu is also joined us earlier. I know he missed the biggest part of the presentation. We were with him here last week. He gave us a powerful presentation on banking and what the bankers normally don't tell us. And personally, I learned a lot from his banking experience, how to handle loans and that kind of things. Now, next week, once again, we're going to touch on agriculture. And I think this one cuts across. If there's anyone who doesn't eat food, at least he knows that it comes from agriculture and farming. And we're bringing in, I call him an expert. I think he did agriculture economics at Makerere. He's a lecturer there. He's a professor. He's a doctor. He's our OB. And if I remember well, he was with us up to around 95, I think, in HSC. Dr. Dick Nwamanya Kamuganga. I later understood that he's actually a brother to Eco Concrete. If not, he still remains a brother to Eco Concrete. So we'll have him next week on Saturday. And I'm hoping that we shall all turn up and listen to what he has to offer to us. Wilbrod kukunda kwema kwa msia, you kept quiet, but at least you have been online. Leslie, I think this was your second time to attend. Rentaro Samuel, I think it was the first time. Thanks for attending. I tried to introduce you as I think the former entertainment prefect, Nile House, if I remember well. But for us, we're in VIP New House. Guys, let's meet next time. So the official one closes here. Then we can proceed for another 10 minutes for our usual Kiganiro. Thank you. Wilbrod, what were you saying? Good. Thank you.
Dixon, thank you very much for the day.
You're welcome, Doctor.
Sawa.
Nice evening, everyone.
You too.
Yes.